shadow ban us.
Oh, really?
We're live. We did a live last Friday, and it's really weird. I'm not saying I get heaps of views, but I usually average about 50. And then we did it on a Friday night. I think you were on it too, mate. No, you weren't on it. And we only got 18, 20. I think they were shadow banning us, but it could have been because you weren't on Nolch.
Yeah, exactly.
that's why.
So you reckon StreamYard? They're messing with StreamYard?
No, not StreamYard. I think YouTube are just shadow banning my channel.
Oh, so you're still going on? Oh, well, yeah. Obviously, I reckon. Yeah, if it's going on YouTube, I thought maybe it was just on StreamYard you were going to be on, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's 3 now, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, mate, you're a marked man. They're not going to let you get away with no shadow banning.
I've always been marked, mate. Always.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of marks, here's a picture that Warrick Capper gave me of it's signed. Have a look. He's taking his big specky. I worked at his house today.
You're mates with him, are you?
Yeah, he lives near me.
Yeah, that's
I don't know
sick.
if you can see that. Yeah, but it's pretty sweet. It's signed and stuff. I'm going to frame it.
It was a great player, mate.
Yeah. I went to his house, got to see his man cave. He's got like a man dungeon or whatever. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. I think I met him once or twice, him and Dougie Hawkins, because I used to play for North Heidelberg Football Club, and we used to have a lot of epic players coming in and out of there. But yeah, I think I met him once or twice. But it's kind of funny. He dressed up as a woman as a troll, and he copped no backlash. But then you got that who's that coach that got caught dressed as a tranny? What's his name?
Oh yeah, but wasn't he? You're talking about Dean Laidley?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was in on charges for actually doing something dodgy. Wasn't he beating up his wife or something? Oh no, maybe he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. No, he didn't beat her up. I think it was just domestic violence or some shit.
Yeah, it was probably just
stalking. It was stalking and shit.
Yeah, no, I don't think he actually beat her up or anything, but she was they're having a divorce and she probably cleaned him out. And, it was it's just oh, come on. He gets all his stuff, taken from him. And then she just gets somebody, yelling at her. And then he gets into trouble. And it's I don't know. It's a bit unfair. But anyway.
Yeah, look, it happens to everyone eventually, shit like that. People have troubles in their life. Well, you sent me that article today from the ABC that showed, I think it was you that sent it to me, that showed the Victorian police don't even execute intervention orders for other officers and shit like that in domestic violence cases. Was that you who sent that to me earlier?
No, it wasn't. But what are you saying? That they don't look into fellow
I don't know
cops?
Who sent that to me. Yeah, because everyone gets intervention orders. Not everyone, but I mean every profession, judges and shit get them sometimes, and when the police get them, they don't really enforce them because they're mates, so they're an elite protected species.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Hey, Warrick Capper's a fan of Pauline Hanson, by the way, and even though he's not much of a political guy, he's pretty switched on. He said something about Corona being a communist thing, and I mean he's so right, but
did he say you can say that and shit?
Oh, I don't know, but no, but it's just some people are even when they're some people are just switched on to things, some people are just real intelligent, and they, even if they're not even into a certain area like politics, they can just instantly tell, oh yeah, it's a communist thing. Alex Jones once mentioned Scientology, and he said it's like a competing thing with the New World Order. And he's pretty much right. In the 60s, when Scientology got bigger and shit, the guy who created it pretty much saw how the world was going down the toilet because of the New World Order and stuff like that. And he came up with this radical church that was trying to counteract the New World Order, basically. And so, so Alex Jones, even though he doesn't really know anything about Scientology, he just briefly looks into it and is oh, this is what's going on. And he's pretty much on spot on. And it's whoa. And then
he's always been pretty good, Alex Jones, man. He's always been ahead of the curve.
Yeah, some people just have this ability to just know things real quickly. It's pretty impressive. But anyway, yeah.
Look what I got, mate. I brought it for this episode and shit. I found it.
Oh yeah, yeah. You sent me the photo.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. You ready? You ready? Yeah. Oh, what the fuck?
Copyright Neil Erikson. That's what it says. Copyright Neil Erikson 2011.
There's the saucer right there.
So
See
the
it?
saucer was watching the air show at Avalon.
See? There it is with the plane.
Yeah, so I was watching it.
Yeah, it was like pacing it and shit. And I filmed
Imagine
that.
the aliens would have been like, "What the fuck are they doing down there?" And then they would have been like, "Oh, it's that yearly air show they do."
Yeah, I don't know if they're like aliens and shit, but it's definitely weird. Like, I didn't have really good computer setup back then in 2011. He wanted me to give him digital photos, but I had to kind of take photos off the TV screen.
Yeah. Well, before my YouTube channel got deleted and stuff, I had a video from a friend, and what's cool is that this was filmed by a friend, like, and it was of a UFO. Because sometimes you see like funky videos on the internet, you don't know if it's real or not, like if it's Photoshop. But this was actually filmed like near Canberra by a friend, and like it shows like a light in the sky, and it flashes, and it does all this weird stuff, like changes color and flashes and stuff, and then it, I think, maybe goes away. But it's totally a UFO, and it's like, whoa. And it's not a fake video. This is real. They full on exist. It's not made up. You know?
Yeah, some of them are dodgy, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I think that have you looked into Billy Meyer?
Yeah, he's a bit of a shit talker, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't really.
I think before he got into UFOs, he was into Israeli intelligence. He was an Israeli intelligence officer.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't that change things? Doesn't that make you wonder? Well, maybe he's like Corey Good or whatever. Where he's like, I don't believe in Corey Good. He's like, he's gone and now he's becoming an agent trying to put out information to confuse the UFO community, because Billy Meyer's stuff doesn't assist the UFO community, because Billy Meyer says that everyone else is wrong and there's only this type of alien and stuff. And so he shuts down the community and like criticizes them and stuff. And he's created like his own little cult and says that he's like the reincarnation of Jesus. So it's like he's just dirtying the UFO.
Yeah, he's just trying. Yeah, you get a lot of
Yeah.
weirdos like that in every movement.
But
Yeah.
but the intelligence agencies, like the Men in Black, whatever, who are assisting him, they would have given him some actual real photos of UFOs and stuff to get his popularity going and stuff. So
Yeah.
there, because apparently, like John Lear's looked into it. He said that some of it's true, and other people have. They said some of it's true. So it's like some of that Billy Meyer stuff is true. Like you're looking at a UFO, but it's all dirtied and it's retarded, and yeah, I'll avoid it.
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm very critical. A lot of people say I'm probably too critical. Like I look at both sides, and like this Bob Lazar, like Ozzy Osbourne just said, Bob Lazar. I've been following his story for years. Yeah, Bob Lazar, Travis Walton, Betty and Barney Hill, the Allagash incident. They're like legitimate meat and potatoes, like shit you could probably believe. But there is a lot of fucking nutbags out there. I'm not saying all of them are lies and shit, but they fuck up the credible stories and shit.
Yeah. Like
you got to be careful.
Like, and what Corey Good did is he started copywriting, which is an amazing thing to do. Like copywriting certain words, like I think breakaway civilization or something like that, so that then other, like making out that he invented these words that were just, no one owned and they're just amongst the UFO community. And then he can deny other UFO people from using them. So then it's like a legal way of silencing other people and stuff. And it's like, he's so got like the Men in Black, whatever, assisting him to try and like stuff up the community.
Yeah, hang on. I'm getting a phone call, man. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
1 second.
But, all right, hold on. Maybe I can, do you want me to keep on talking?
Yeah, keep talking, man. Hey, Jared, I'll call you back, man. I'll call you back.
There's this guy called, I can't remember, but he did do a little bit of stuff with Corey Good, but I think he just wasn't aware that Corey Good was bullshit. But this guy used to work in the military and stuff, and he seems full on the real thing. And he went into the underground bases and he saw alien bodies and stuff. Like he worked, like near Area 51 and stuff like that. But he seems like the full on real deal. But he's fascinating to listen to. But and you can tell he's not bullshitting because when he talks, he just talks about what he knows, what he specifically saw, and from what I've looked into and all this stuff, everything he says seems real. You know, but it's just really out there. Like he said, he worked on as like some sort of doctor or something, analyzing like heaps of different alien bodies that the government would come across and stuff, or that they were growing and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. I wish I knew the guy's name.
Yeah, look. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't disbelieve a lot of the people out there, but I kind of like you have a gut feeling. Like I've said before, I'm pretty good at judging bullshit. Yeah, some could be right, but I like to look into things that are kind of like there's witnesses and there's enough out there. There's like I mentioned before, those abductions and shit. Like they had lie detector tests. They had multiple witnesses. There was no reason for them to lie. Most of these guys, like Bob Lazar and Travis Walton and shit, they don't even like the UFO community and shit. Like they just go and do it. They've said it before openly, like they're weirdos and shit. So you can tell they're not really in it for fame and shit.
Yeah, and Bob Lazar is a skeptic, even though he's like full on seen a UFO and everything, and he's gotten briefed from it by the government in Area 51. And he is a freaking skeptic. If you talk to him about conspiracies and shit, he'll be like, "Oh, that's just that's too much." And
what pisses him off, and it's obvious because they tie like credible stories to fucked up stories. So it's kind of like they're using up that stamina that they've like earned the respect that maybe something actually did happen, and then they tie it with some fucking outlandish fucking like obviously bullshit story, and it kind of tarnishes the real story. I think that's what pisses them off, because they'll have a documentary with Bob Lazar or Travis Walton, and then straight after that they'll tie it into some fucking total crackpot. You know what I mean? Or some like that dude, that doctor. What's his name? When he made those documentaries, I think he even made that documentary we watched yesterday. But even he's like a bit of a Fruit Loop, I reckon. You might like him, but because he believes in like out of body experiences and shit. What's his name?
Yeah. Because this topic, the UFO topic, it goes into other areas. It's not like just UFOs. In order to look into it, you have to go into just all this other stuff like advanced technology and spiritual shit, other dimensions. But like, it's so out there that it's like, if you actually just told the truth, it just sounds crazy. So like, I know that like Corey Good or whatever all these disinformation people might exaggerate things a bit, but even if you don't exaggerate or whatever, and you just literally say what's actually going on, it just sounds so wacky that in itself protects it. It's like let's say you went out and you did a crime or something like that, and it was just the most wackiest, bizarre crime ever, right? And everyone heard about it, right? Lots of people wouldn't believe it because they'll just be like, Neil, what the fuck? That was the craziest thing ever. People just won't believe it because it's so crazy. So in a way, you'll be protected. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. It's like that. So that's why it's like, I think when it comes to UFO stuff, you can only talk about like what you know about. So if you know heaps of ufology, then you can go into all the wacky shit. But if you only know a little bit, then you can only talk about little stuff.
It's like the Patriot movement. It's the same thing. Like you don't want to red pill people straight away. It's like,
you've got to do like different levels, stages, like low, medium, high, and stuff. But that documentary you recommended is it called Unexplained?
The one. Have you watched it yet?
I've watched half of it. It's on YouTube.
Phenomenal, or I forget what it's called. It's on YouTube. It's like $6. It's actually quite good. They talk about the West. They talk about the West Hall. That's actually right near you.
Yeah, that one's good. Yeah, I've sort of, but I've been to West Hall. I checked it out, but yeah, that's a good documentary for someone who's new to the topic because it doesn't go into completely out there crazy shit. Do you know what I mean? So, but like for me, it's a little bit boring because I'm like, I want to know.
Yeah, I've already seen all that shit. But it was good that they revisited those kids from South Africa or Zimbabwe. Yeah. They same thing as West Hall, but they seen like 3 aliens and shit running around. They didn't put it in this one, but they seemed like these 2 aliens with like the big eyes and shit. And then they seen some like hairy dude and shit. Like he looked different. He was black. He had like dreadlocks and shit. He was walking across the the outside of the UFO and shit the kids were saying. So it's good that they re-interviewed them. Like, you can't really, like, say they're lying and shit. Like, that's what I like things like that. Like, you couldn't make that shit up. And it's like that Betty and Barney Hill abduction. When they went up into the ship, the aliens come in and grabbed her teeth and shit, and they're pulling at her teeth. Like, this is just weird shit, yeah? And she's what are you doing? No, she goes, what are you doing? And they go, oh, she remembered her husband has false teeth. So this is in the early 1960s. So they probably didn't even see a human, and they're trying to figure out that comes out, and then hers wouldn't come out. It's just weird shit. Like, you couldn't make that shit up, you know?
No, and they anal probed Barney Hill and stuff. And he had I think a lot of problems accessing his memories or whatever, but he was really emotionally affected by it. But yeah, that they do this sort of shit, like they touch people's teeth and stuff, and they anal probe because they get information. It must be some direct way into the body or something. And I think with chicks they do a pussy probe, but with guys they do anal probe.
Yep.
And it's fucking weird. But I reckon that if it ever happened to us or whatever, I think you get so scared that you sort of pass out. So it's like you're not like awake totally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
It's kind of like a trance and shit, man. Like, there's only a few that I follow. Yeah. So it's like that one, Betty Barney Hill, which I don't know. Betty seems a bit of a whack job as she got older and shit. She said she saw other UFO. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, because she kept, she wouldn't. They regularly abduct people. They don't just do it as a once-off and not visit them again. They do it more.
Yeah, I know, but it's just it's. I don't know. I like to look at like don't get me wrong. I believe that scenario and shit, but just as she got older, I don't know. Like, even Travis Walton, I think he's seen another UFO once and didn't tell anyone. He just, like, because people think he was a nutbag, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's a bit of a career ruiner. Like, imagine if you were like, and this is why the topic isn't that well known, because there are heaps of people who are like just will be quiet and just not talk about it because they're like, maybe they're like a principal of a school or something, and they're not going to talk about it. They don't want to wreck their career, you know. But yeah, it's a cool topic.
Yeah, that doco, you should watch it, because I think you've already seen it anyway about the Tic Tac UFO. Someone brought it up in here. Yeah, that dude's actually full smart as shit. That pilot, man, I forget his name. But the little Tic Tac UFO was bringing up a massive ship out of the water. It's like shaped like a cross. It was like the size of a 747 jumbo jet or whatever it is, and it was coming up outside the water. That's how they seen it. So these UFOs were floating around some object underneath the water. And this is a trained F-16 fighter pilot, man. I think it was like the leader of the squadron and shit. So I don't know if that could be called bullshit. And there's video of it too.
Yeah. I mean, have
you been abducted, Nolch?
I honestly think I have, and that's because when I looked into it, like I didn't. And I heard about people being abducted. I didn't ever think I was abducted. But then I looked at all the there's certain characteristics of like there's a checklist of like 25 things that, and I ticked a lot of the boxes, and I was like, oh shit, you know. But I don't. So if I have been abducted, which I think I probably have, I'm not one of those people where I get abducted heaps. Like, I think it might have just happened a few times as a kid or something. But there are some people who are like, they are really getting abducted, and you know, it's like it's really obvious, but the person like is so freaked out by it that they sort of deny it and stuff.
Yeah, it's probably kind of hard to describe what's going on. Yeah, but
the aliens pick certain DNA type to abduct, and I fit these characteristics and stuff. And anyway, speaking of this alien stuff, right? I've been looking into human origins and stuff, and so part of the reason why we don't even really know where we came from, like they might pretend like they say this out of Africa theory, but that's just full of all these holes. Like, it's just full of holes. And the theory of evolution has holes in it as well. Part of the problem is that they ignore the alien influence, right? Because aliens have come here and just planted bodies here on Earth, right? Like colonized certain things. So they ignore that, and then they also ignore any potentially racist sort of ideas. So when the mainstream scientists are looking at the evidence and the fossil history and all that sort of stuff, they just can't piece together the actual story of where we came from because they're ignoring these two really big areas.
But hey,
And
didn't
so
we all
there's
come
stuff.
from Africa and shit? Isn't that where we come
It's
from?
not true. It's full of holes. Firstly, the Australian Aboriginal just came out of nowhere. Like that
He
didn't come
was
from.
dumped. He was dumped there.
Yeah, something like that. It's just like they just don't. They're not willing to say these sorts of things. The Europeans seem to, like, the white people like Aryans seem to have just sort of come out of nowhere as well. And then their theory, like, that people like 70,000 years ago slowly moved out of Africa, it just doesn't. Not only does it mean that the timeline meant that people moved out of Africa and then were all over the world in like a really short amount of time. Like people couldn't have traveled that fast and all that sort of stuff. Like it takes a while. But also there's just not much fossil evidence backing it up. They've just found really weak bits of evidence and said, oh, this is what it must be and stuff. And, you know, like, it's just an idea that's worth thinking about, but it's not like worth saying this is what happened. We came out of Africa. It's just not true.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been sus on that. Like the story I hear from nationalists is like there was a multiple tribes, and one went north to the snow. I don't understand why you would go to the snow if that was a choice.
Yeah,
But they
exactly.
kind of
These are
it doesn't make sense. I don't know unless they were attacked or something.
You're like a survival hunter-gathering group and stuff. You don't just move into freezing areas.
Yeah, because you got lizards.
You know?
This is why the intelligence thing. I don't want to get too much into it because it'll probably get banned. But we learned to store food, and that's how we got intelligent. Like that's a theory that I've heard, and it seems plausible, but it doesn't make any sense. Like I reckon we're all different, kind of all different in a sense, like DNA strains. Oh, obviously we've got the same kind of DNAs. Actually, I think Africans have a different DNA and Aboriginals. I think it's
they're different. Yeah, in fact, there's a theory that it's out of Australia theory that the Australian Aborigines were the first people in the world, and they moved because there's a connection between South Americans, right, native South Americans, and Abos, right, and that's really strange. But it seems like it's possible that life actually first began in Australia and then moved out, but then you had these other people come in and also interbreed, right? But also like just kill off the Aboriginals, right? Because there's different racial types and the survival of the fittest and stuff. And so somehow on the island of Australia, maybe aliens didn't colonize it, and the Australian Aboriginal was allowed to stay alive. But anyway, because we also had the Neanderthals and stuff, and they would have, if they were in Australia, they would have knocked off the Aboriginals because the Neanderthals were pretty smart. And this is why, like, you just can't trust any of the stuff that they say, like mainstream, because they were saying years ago that that Neanderthals didn't interbreed with us, and now we know that they interbred, right? And there's like something like 5% of their DNA is like our DNA is theirs, and so like. It's just all a dog's breakfast. But do you know what's really interesting? Lord of the Rings, right? Where he's got the guy who wrote Lord of the Rings was real switched on. I think he was like a top Freemason, but he also like was a historian. He had the hobbits, he had the elves, he had the dwarf, and then he had man. And if you look at it, there actually was hobbits that was smart, by the way, that actually like when I say smart, like they actually like had boats and stuff. Like they were intelligent. Do you know what I mean? Like there was actually hobbits, right, a long time ago. And then there was the elves, which are possibly the Aryans, like the white aliens. And then there's the dwarves, which are the Neanderthals. And then there's the man, which could be like what came about from a mixture of all of them. So it's like he came up with this story because he read history and heard about these things in the past about there being a meter tall people and called them hobbits, and it's all interesting, you know. But but before the Great Flood that happened, it knocked off the Atlanteans and stuff. Before that flood, and it mentions this in the Bible, that's when I think there was all these different types, and then after that, like it got dramatically reduced, like the hobbits and the Neanderthals were knocked off, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot. I think, and I follow the Bible, and I'm very Christian, but I do interpret things. Not everything is going to be as predicted by a lot of Christians. Like angels could be like aliens, man. You don't know. We could
Yeah, well, you
interpret
read
them
the
as
Bible.
aliens.
I read the Bible when I was locked up. Like, I mean, the Bible switches the word alien, like between angel and man. Like the angels that they refer to at times were just literally like alien humans that were visiting them. Like it's obvious. Like they'll in one moment they'll call them an angel, the next minute they'll say, "And we sat down and we ate with the man," and it's like, whoa. So these were just like you were hanging out with aliens.
Yeah. One of them. I forget the story it was because I don't know back to back. But one alien come down and impregnated a bloody a chick. But it was like an angel from up in the sky come down on a fireball and shit.
Yeah, and God apparently had a wife, and she like a goddess or whatever that was his wife, but then it sort of like got pushed aside, and then it was just all God, 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 God. But I mean, this dude was like, it seems like he was a human alien that had a wife, and that he was like by God, it was like, and their word for like leader or Führer or president or prime minister was or military commander. It was some sort of leader role, and the word God came about, and so that's what was interesting about the Bible is hearing about some of that stuff. Yeah, there's definitely funky involvement in that area of the world back then.
So, what do you think about David Icke? You reckon he talks shit or?
Oh man, isn't it interesting, huh? His reptilian theory, because it's like, whoa. I think that he's picking up on. He's definitely picking up, I reckon, in interdimensional stuff, which is different to aliens because it's kind of like a whole new level because it's like stuff outside our five senses. Because I reckon for sure there's other universes and there's other things out there that we can't perceive because we don't have senses for them. So he's going into a real deep area, you know. So yeah. But it seems like if there's other dimensions and they wanted to communicate with us or mind control people in our dimension, then that would tap into people's minds, like leaders' minds, and then like control them and stuff. And David Icke could be picking up on people getting influenced by reptilians, like Hillary Clinton being, influenced by some interdimensional thing. But it's so deep down the rabbit hole. It would be so hard to get evidence for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I look at a lot of like quantum physics and shit, and the inconsistencies with that. There's a lot of shit. It's like there's a lot. It's a lot of how like Einstein says nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Now,
oh man, he's full of shit.
Yeah, that's bullshit, man. Because they've got like this electron or some shit, some neuron, and if you separate it and you turn it one way, the other way will go the opposite way. So they're communicating somehow.
Yeah.
They could put that on the other side of the universe and turn it or whatever and set it off, and it will actually know to turn it. So that's already faster than the speed of light.
What is it called? Spooky action at a distance. So that indicates that those two particles or whatever are connected, but not in the physical universe, in some other dimension, in a way we don't understand, right? So that's like the David Icke idea, where there's more going on that we just can't understand. And so Einstein being a dumbass, because honestly, in the science, in amongst top scientists, right, he was a dumbass. You know what I mean? Like, obviously he's smarter than us at maths and shit.
He couldn't even read and shit, I think.
Yeah, amongst top scientists, he's a dumbass, and he stole all of his stuff, and the mainstream media just pumped him up. But he's actually really disgusting. But he couldn't think deeper, and he couldn't handle those deep ideas because he's such a freak. And he also was attacking quantum physicists and stuff by saying that God doesn't roll dice and stuff like that. And he was just wrong, because the scientists, right, who chose to ignore him and go with quantum physics and stuff ended up inventing all this stuff, and the equations worked out, and it was awesome because they weren't idiots and they just ignored Einstein. But if we had listened to more of what Einstein was saying, because he was saying quantum physics was wrong, then we would be even more degraded and we wouldn't have all these inventions and stuff. So Einstein really has just confused the hell out of the science community. And if you go watch science documentaries, like scientists and stuff, they firstly, they all just crap on about Einstein. Like, they all just got a hard on for Einstein. And they also all like are arguing and saying, oh, well, this is how the universe evolved and this is what that happened. They all have different theories and stuff, and it's all like a dog's breakfast. And part of that is because Einstein has confused the hell out of the community.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him. All I know is a lot of his theories are flawed, but he did have some good theories. But
yeah, but also, I mean,
yeah.
even he look, he might have had one like something good that he came up with himself. Then
But didn't he steal that off his assistant? Yeah, he stole some shit.
Yeah, he
off
stole
his
a few
assistant.
things because he worked at the patent office and studied other people's things and stuff. And so, you know, he's really like, when you look into him more and more, you find out that he's like the science equivalent of Bruno Mars. Like, if you think Bruno Mars is a really good musician, then you'll probably think Einstein's a real good scientist. Like, they're the same sort of thing. Yeah, but he's real disgusting, Einstein.
And give me a sec. I'm just going to text Jared because I think he's jumping on. Just keep talking to the audience, bro, and I'll get on to Jared. Hang
on. Yeah, so he was wrong about the theory of that you can't travel faster than the speed of light. And also, apparently, Nikola Tesla, who really was the genius, who like, he invented stuff that actually changed our lives way more. He said that Einstein's theory of relativity or something like that was just like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And so, like, in order to sit down and study the theory of relativity, like, you have to full on get into it. You can't just go watching something for an hour, right? So should I bother putting in all this effort studying the theory of relativity just to find out it's a bunch of bullcrap? Like, obviously Tesla's smarter than me. I'm not going to bother researching. I'm just going to go off what Tesla says. I've looked into the theory of relativity for a bit and I can't quite make sense of it. I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it just, I don't know. I just don't get it. Like, it just seems a bit weird. And then if Tesla said this thing about theory of relativity, then I'm sticking with him because he's way smarter than me. And he knows what he's talking about. If he says it's a bunch of bullcrap, then it's a bunch of bullcrap. And other people have said it's bullcrap as well. Like, apparently some other like top dude spent a few days with Einstein, and Einstein explained it to him. And at the end of it, the dude said, I still can't understand it. He can't understand it because it doesn't make sense. That's why. So yeah, so there's something dodgy about it. But the idea that I think that, which is really cool, that time is different, like if you're traveling at different speeds or something like that, that's like time can change. That's, I think, seems to be correct, and that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a strange world out there, mate. I'll tell you. But
yeah, it's really bizarre. Like, if you're traveling, if you're in a spacecraft, like if you're in a satellite spinning around the world, then your your experience of time is actually at a different speed than we experience it here. So it's really funky and weird and stuff. And apparently gravity as well can bend space-time. So like, if you've got a really heavy object or something like that, it can bend space. And I think that's where this ties into the alien UFO stuff, is that and Bob Lazar talks about this. The UFO creates a bunch of gravity somehow, and they can then time travel and bend space and like travel.
They basically just fall in the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know how it is, but somehow they bend, space wraps around them or something like that. Like, if you look at a UFO or something like that, I think Bob Lazar said this, that you could be standing there looking at a UFO and you could see something behind it because the UFO created gravity and it bent space and you can see behind it. It's really funky stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think there's probably some truth to Einstein's theory of relativity, but it's like, it's a dog's breakfast, and it's probably, I wouldn't go near it.
Shit, it's crazy. It's just too mind-boggling. I'm not drunk enough, or you know, to get into the you know, the molecular structure of society and shit.
Yeah,
you know, it just goes straight over.
Yeah, and I was going to say something else about Einstein. I can't remember, but it was interesting. Yeah, but Bob Lazar's he's pretty cool. Like, he full on seems legit. The briefings he got about the whole alien situation, about making contact with the government, and everything. That's so fascinating, all that stuff.
Yeah, man. It's like, you talk about Bob Lazar, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, like his story is crazy, man. Like, you know, and it makes sense. Like, I know people say, "Oh, he's not that, not that he's not that experienced and shit." But they deleted his whole like working history and shit at
Yeah, and they set him up like they got him on a sex charge or something minor like
No,
that.
he was pimping prostitutes and shit. But I think he
Yeah,
did do
something.
that and shit. He pled guilty and shit. He did do that.
But they also their agents would have encouraged him to do that to set him up, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, to tarnish him and shit.
Yeah, tarnish him and stuff. Yeah, it's fascinating. But do you know what's really deep about the Bob Lazar stuff is you're gonna fucking love this because you mentioned the Bible before, right?
All right, Jared, I'll put you on. Man,
this is so exciting, right? Hey, Jared.
G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm sweet. Big.
Hey, what's with the vertical videos, guys?
I like vertical.
I don't know, mate. Yeah, I can fix that.
I have my screen locked so it never goes to landscape.
Yeah, how's that?
All right, you ready? Yeah, you ready to hear this thing, Jared? This is really deep info. This is so cool. This is Bob Lazar stuff, right?
All right.
This is fucking so deep. In one of the briefings that Bob Lazar read, right? Apparently, it said that the aliens sent religious people here to Earth in order to set up religions to control us, and that one of them was Jesus. So Jesus was a part of the whole like alien created matrix that we live in here on Earth, and he was sent here by the aliens to control us or some shit.
Well, I obviously missed the start of that conversation, but yeah, that's that's definitely deep.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I've seen a bit on Bob Lazar. He's got some crazy theories, but I'm not one to dismiss anything. So
well, it's really cool for me because I read this. There's this top secret Scientology document that's so out there that Scientologists, when they read it, they don't even believe it. They just think that someone just made it up and said it was Scientology. And in that, Hubbard mentions that that Jesus was actually like a bad guy, and that he was here from this bad group of aliens to control us, right? And so that was so.
Yeah, I don't believe that shit, man.
When I heard the Bob Lazar stuff, I was like,
Maddie's gonna kill you, bro.
Yeah, well, this Bob Lazar stuff backs up what Hubbard said in this secret document, and I was like, whoa.
Well, it's definitely one theory. Yeah.
So, how was prison, Nolch?
Well, I got to read the Bible. That was all right.
Did you enjoy it?
It was difficult. Like, it's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
I'm happy I read it, but like I'm happy because I never would have done it unless I'd was 80 years old and in retirement. Like I just wouldn't have fit in the time. Like it takes so much time.
Yeah. How long did it take you to read?
Honestly, it's like a month and a half.
That's good.
Pretty much reading every day for like hours every day.
Yeah, it took me about 7 or 8 months to read it, I reckon.
Yeah.
That was reading most nights, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's reading and then there's taking it in. You know, you have to read a book, but you actually have to kind of like interpret it in your own mind. And, you know.
Yeah.
Some of it's in code. Some of it's written in code that we don't understand. So, like, that's why some of it seems wacky and stuff, but it's actually in a code.
Well, that's why I went to Bible college to study all that. But yeah, it didn't. You know, after it all, it didn't stick with me. But
hey,
there was some fun, like weird things. I remember watching this interview with he was a NASA scientist, and he'd done a study on the Bible, and he was saying how the Bible was numerically written. You know, like the middle of the Bible is the short. You know, like the middle Bible. The verse before it is the longest verse in the Bible. The verse after is the shortest. You know, there's the same amount of verses before it and after it. All that sort of thing. He was saying if 50 mathematicians worked for 50 years, they still wouldn't be able to write a book as perfectly numerically written as the Bible, which, you know, I don't really comprehend them words, but he was a NASA scientist, and he had turned Christian after finishing his study, and that was his outcome. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but there's definitely some strange things that surround that book.
Yeah, I totally don't understand that, but you probably have to study maths to understand like why
what the implications of that actually are.
Yeah.
But 50 mathematicians, 50 years.
So Jared, you destroyed Tim on that debate the other night, man. I watched it. Tim didn't know what to do, man. Did you see it, Nolch?
Was this about the Bible?
Nah, it was about
common law.
Like Tim started going, man, like this, and then Jared just dominated him, man. Tim didn't know what to do, man. He was like, he was all flustered and shit. Yeah, man, it was like.
But what was the actual? Was it about is this lockdown legal or something?
Yeah, well, the validity of common. Thanks, Neil. The validity of common law. So what Tim was arguing, that common law is no longer valid these days, because we're planning to serve. Some people are planning to serve Daniel Andrews with a notice of liability.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, let me retract that statement. Bieber Anti-Bullying has corrected me. Actually, the argument started because you claimed that Tim was carrying water for Daniel Andrews. He was working for him.
Yeah, well, at that point in time, I was pretty sure that he was. But essentially, Tim was right in a lot of what he said. So well, he was right under the acts and legislations. There has been a conceded effort over the last 27 years to basically strip us of our common law rights through acts and legislations, which we're now facing with the whole, the COVID thing. But what he failed to recognise is in 1973, on Australia Day 1973, Gough Whitlam signed the Royal Styles and Titles Act, which basically set up a duplicate government and officially ended the reign of the Australian government and handed over control of our government to a corporation. Since then, we've basically been run by a corporation and no longer run by the Commonwealth. So that being said, that was done illegally, obviously without a referendum. So basically, with that being said, common law is the only valid law in this country because we have no valid parliament, we have no valid government, we have a corporation, and it's a hostile takeover.
Yeah. So but what's up with this? Because I can use common law. I've used common law defences before. So what's the difference between a common law court and common law defences?
Well, common law by definition is so since 1215 and the Magna Carta, all that. So they take every court case since then, decided by trial, decided by a judge and a jury. The court cases from now until then set a precedent. That precedent is common law. That's considered the will of the people. So common law, a common law court, which are established, are basically courts of the people, court of common opinion. So the strength of the common law court lays in the people. Having numbers is where the strength lays. Now that we have no valid government in Australia, one of our only options of taking the government back is by forcing the government to renegotiate the contract that we signed at 1973 on Australia Day, the Royal Styles and Titles Act. That and the Australia Act, which was signed by Bob Hawke in 1985. Both of them things set up where we are now to be run by a corporate entity. If we can get enough people to submit a petition or show up in person to force the government to renegotiate contract, because we're under contract law on that corporate system, every contract is renegotiable. So if enough people get together with the aim of renegotiating that contract, we may be able to find a way of ending a corporate-run country and get it back to a government of the people. Saying that, it's a massive reach, and Neil doesn't think we have a hope, but I understand that. But it is an avenue. It's that's what's happened in black and white. That's where it's at.
Hey, at least you're doing something. You're not sitting on your bum like Tim Wilms, critiquing you and shit. Hey, I asked him, I said, Tim, you coming on the show to debate Jared? I haven't heard from him. So he's in the chat now, so he's obviously not busy. Where was he, Jared? You showed up. Like, Tim, man, if your argument's flawless and shit and you're correct, where are you? Why aren't you debate? Is that right, Nolch?
Yeah, let's wait and see. But you know what's interesting, right? So people think that to take over a country that you got to come in with tanks and shit. But you can do it financially. So you can take a country, right? Get them to spend money on all these socialist programs that just waste money and stupid, right? And then the massive debt. Then the bankers can come in and legally say, well, we've got to take control of your government or whatever and put our admin guys in there because you guys owe us money or whatever. And so then that way they change the whole system so that we all become like their little debt slave.
Yeah, 100%.
And that way they get their control of the government. You see
Well,
what
that's
I mean?
exactly.
So, yeah.
Did you see the email that came out of Canada Parliament the other day, the start of the week?
No.
So there was an email that was leaked from a Parliament member in Canada laying out their agenda for 2021, which was basically anyone should be able to find this online. So it ended up becoming mainstream news by the end of the day. So basically, their agenda is to double the COVID lockdowns. They're then going to lock down the communities, basically what we're seeing in Melbourne. They're going to roll that out over the entire Canada. They're then going to offer a wall. This is all in government, like a government leaked document. They're going to offer a buyback deal for all Canadian debt, so all credit card debt, all mortgage, all car loans, everything. They'll buy back everyone's debt. The condition of this is that everybody has to sign their land over to the Canadian government, their houses, rah, rah, rah. That being said, what it states is if people do not agree to this stuff, they're going to be placed in interim camps until they do. So then it goes through the documents, through the months, what their agenda is. They plan to rush build these interim camps. Whether this document is legitimate or not, it seems to be. It's mainstream news. Anybody can look it up now. That's scary implications, you know. So
mate, that sounds so Alex Jonesy. That's the sort of stuff Alex Jones talks about, like full on. So far, he seems to have been so right with COVID. Like, as in at the start of the year, some of the stuff he was saying, I was sort of thinking like, oh yeah, this is like another thing. But fuck, he's been so right. Like they actually they have checkpoints and leaving Melbourne. It's just like, whoa, and they've got checkpoints at the border, and the health minister has said, you know, like we won't be able to travel unless we get the vaccine and stuff. So it's like, whoa, it's just this document. What you just said just sounds so mind blowing. It's like, what the fuck? So, what do you think is going to happen in 2021 then?
That's Canada, obviously. So, you can find that document on a website called Constitution Watch. Constitution Watch is run by a good man. I won't name him here, but he's a very good man. He works with the Great Australian Party as a legal advisor. So he runs that website. It's called Constitution Watch. You'll find all that information there.
So what do you reckon though is going to happen to Australia?
I think we're heading down the same path. I think Australia's a dummy for this sort of agenda. That's why I see no other option, as I said, but to try to rally people and force the government to renegotiate. Because this is a corporate regime. It's a hostile takeover. Even the police aren't officers of the peace anymore because they're working for a foreign corporation and they're breaking our constitutional rights with no legal backing behind them. You know, there hasn't been a law enacted in Parliament since 1973 by the Governor General or received a proclamation certificate by the Queen. So this information's not really hard to find out.
Hey, does this corporation, like, you know how they get the police to work for them and shit? Do they get like media outlets to like help them out and shit?
Well, it's all under the same guise, isn't it? So
do you reckon they'd pay like, you know, people doing YouTube news videos and shit to like carry water for them and shit?
I reckon they would, and like working their way undercover, spending years working their way in trying to gain the trust of the people, just to at the final hour turn. Yeah, I think they would do that. Yeah.
Hey, so what's the plan again? So what's this document you're saying? Like, what is it saying exactly? Like in a summary, what's going to happen in 2021?
Well, that document that has been released, that's a Canadian document, so that has no actual bearing on things. So what we plan to serve to Daniel Andrews.
Well, what about in Canada? Like what is it saying? Like in summary, what's going to happen to them in 2021?
Like I said, it says they're going to double the lockdowns, enforce stricter measures, stricter curfew, less travelling areas, double the alleged cases of COVID. It says that they actually, if you have a look through it, it's pretty scary. They actually have
hold on a second, but does it actually say we are going to just make up the COVID numbers and make them be double the amount? Is that what it says?
It says the deaths will increase. Dramatic. Like it actually has the numbers of deaths that will happen. There's a lot of information in there. Like, have a look as soon as you get off. But yeah, it's there's a lot of information in there. Like it says, it actually has dates. Like it was November, December 2020. Like build interim camps. Constitution Watch. That's a website. What can I search?
Constitution Watch. Constitutionwatch.com.au.
That's Darren's website. He works with Know Your Rights. He works with the Great Australian Party. It's a very good website. That'll point you in the right direction. I'm sure if you just type in, once you find it on his website, I'm sure it'll take you to a heap of mainstream news links. But yeah, it's bloody wild, man. It's it's crazy. It's crazy.
But yeah, because so far they've done like wild shit to Melbourne. So it's like I'm no longer going to say, "Oh, that's ridiculous," because it's just like they're going all out. They're going all out.
Well,
like it's wild.
100%, and that's the thing. Like what people plan to do, even with the anti-mask protests and the freedom rallies and all that, they may not work. But I know that sitting at home, if everyone sat at home and accepted these directives, we would be in a lot worse place than we are now. So I think anything that people can do to be proactive and be a fucking thorn in the side of the government is good at this stage, because without that resistance, we really would be in a lot worse conditions and probably not facing, even the Omnibus Act, even though that they still got that through, all them 9,000 signatures changed a lot of what was in there, I can't remember exactly what it is, but, them 9,000 petitions, that managed to bring about some change. And Daniel Andrews was forced to pull some of the measures that he tried to get through out, so, we still do have the power. We can renegotiate contracts. It's just about getting people out there, getting this knowledge out there so people realise and start to look into it for themselves, and that way, hopefully, something may eventually happen. If not, I don't see any great hope for us. I think this just continues until, we're all fucked, basically.
All right, guys, I'll just quickly read out this super chat because I read out super chats. If people are willing to give me money, for the content, I'll read them out. I don't care.
Go Versace.
Mate, that's awesome. Yeah. So I'll read it out as soon as I get a super chat. I'm not like other channels which just take the money and actually don't read them out. So did anyone else read that Craig Kelly and Flash Gordon article in yesterday's copy of the Australian newspaper? Flash is a great journalist. Have you heard about this Flash Gordon writer for allegedly for the Australian?
No, I haven't. I've only heard a few things on the podcast. Inform me, please.
Apparently, he's written a great few articles. He works for the Australian. He gets paid cash, and he writes some great articles exposing certain people on the left, which is commendable. So good on him. We've lost Nolch. I think he's gone.
Go Flash.
So there we go. I had to read it out. Super chat. That's what you're going to do when you host a show and you invite people to give super chats. You read them out.
Yeah. Wow, you're getting paid big bucks for it too. $7.99. That's a big super chat.
That's big, man. It's decent.
That's big. That's massive. As fast as Versace running his own business now, he's making the big bucks. So.
Hey.
Versace's running his own business now, so he's making big bucks.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy. I haven't even seen your comments at all. I don't think. Looking up now. But I'll probably wind it up. We spoke about aliens and shit before you got on.
Yeah.
Have you been
abducted
by aliens?
I appreciate a chance to get my piece in. That's good.
Hey, you're going to do boxing fights and shit?
We are. We're going to start an AMAG podcast that Neil's going to help us host at the start. We're going to try to run it from the gym with some of the boys running sparring sessions. So basically fighting. When we'll get in there. Sparring, heavy sparring, very heavy sparring. We also invite anybody down that wants to do some sparring with any of our boys, or anybody has any problems that they want to sort out in the ring to come down and do some sparring too. Neil will be there. Neil will be commentating along with myself. I'm also going to jump in.
Am I going to be the Joe Rogan and shit?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's obviously your role. So. I'm going to jump in and get punched around a bit by some of the young fellas, but that's
what happens, man.
That's fun for me. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. Thanks for watching tonight, guys. I'm getting shadow banned like hard by YouTube. So if you haven't got a notification, if you rewatch this video and you didn't notice a notification, click the bell on this. I don't do many videos, but I'll probably try and do one once a week. So click the bell and you'll get a notification, because a lot of people have been complaining. We did that live on Friday night and we had legitimately 16 viewers the whole night. It was like Friday night, nothing was going on. The footy was on, but still a lot of people commented saying they didn't get notifications. Even Tim, who's lying in the chat, he told me he didn't get a notification either. Tim's just salty because I started at 8:30. Sorry, Tim, but next time you can go a bit later. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks. Yeah, see, Big Mac got 0 notifications. It's only because I told him I was going live. So they're definitely shadow banning. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks, Jared, for coming on.
Pleasure, mate.
Thanks to the Nolch. I think his phone might have went flat. Yeah, it's been a good show, a good yarn, and hopefully we can do it again.
Always.
And yeah, all right, mate. Catch us later.
Bye.
See yous. Bye.
Bye.